Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about PlayStation 3 emulation on Android with RPCS3. Now, we've been talking about RPCS3 quite a bit recently, and it turns out the developers are extremely active on this one. RPCS3 just received a brand new update after just receiving a first initial alpha release. So in yesterday's video, we talked about Alpha 1, and today we've got Alpha 2. So at the time of filming, Alpha 2 is the latest release, and possibly by the time you're watching this one, will be on Alpha 3, who knows? So with this latest release, there's no performance improvements or bug fixes or compatibility improvements or anything like that just yet. The developer has added in initial USB device support, as well as support for DualShock 3, DualShock 4, and DualSense controllers. Although a lot of people like to use touchscreens, I'm assuming for PlayStation 3 games specifically, controller support is probably a welcome sight. Anyways, here we'll have to wait and see what happens moving forward with RPCS3 Android, but it does seem the developer is very active. I'm very excited for the future of this emulator, but it is worth noting that it's still currently in alpha, so this emulator is going to be a while before it's perfect. And speaking about new stuff, next up we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation with NxEmu. And if you haven't heard about this one before, I really don't blame you. It appears that NxEmu is restarting development. So the developer behind this one said they achieved a key goal when NxEmu managed to boot a commercial game, but then they put development on hold. And it seems they are resuming development here, and they say, with Yuzu and Ryujinx being taken down, I've been thinking more about the legal side of Switch emulation. As I understand it, the emulation itself is legal, but the main issue was with DMCA 1201 and how they handled decryption. If they hadn't included decryption, they would possibly still be in active development today. Interestingly here, the NxEmu site has a pretty detailed explanation of what exactly DMCA section 1201 is, and also their understanding and interpretation of it. It's a very thorough look at everything overall, including talking about the demise of Yuzu. So with all of that in mind, the developer goes on to say, I've considered leveraging what I've learned and understood from my experience by modularizing the safe and legal components from Yuzu, such as the CPU, OS, and video. The goal is to create a proof of concept that modularizes these parts of the emulator and combines them to run a demo. The developer emphasizes that this project is not just another fork. While they are leveraging code from Yuzu, they're selectively integrating parts of the source code one bit at a time. And that's so they can understand the code and probably try to improve it. They say the downside of this is that they don't inherit everything automatically. They need to add each part bit by bit, and that means a lot of functionality will be missing initially. From my understanding, this project is going to remain 100% open source, and there is an initial version already available. If you are curious about this one and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, link is in the description below right at the bottom. I am very curious to see where this one goes and what compatibility looks like and what the emulator ends up looking like. And also, if they're able to do this legally and avoiding Nintendo's takedown, it's going to be a very interesting space to pay attention to. Next up, we're talking about PlayStation 4 emulation on Android. Yeah, you heard that right. With ShadPS4. The person behind this one is trying to get ShadPS4 up and running on Android in about 2 weeks. So they say right here, goal in 14 days, an ARM64 to AMD 64 JIT able to launch the Emulator.apk on Android. Refine library calls, add UI for touchscreen. Starting to think about the high and low level API. I want to say this is ambitious, but at the same time here, who the heck knows if it's going to be successful or not? I am curious about this project for a whole bunch of reasons. At a super high level here, I'm curious to see if they can get it working in 14 days. Also, what kind of phones will be able to run PS4 games? And also, how many games can you store on a phone with PS4? Well, I'll have to wait and see on this one, but this project is super interesting. And continuing to talk about PlayStation emulation, just a few generations back, we're talking about PS1 emulation with the fairly new ScePSX. And ScePSX just got a brand new update. The developer behind this one is pretty active. Now, I had to refilm this segment because at the time of filming, version 0.05 has just dropped in. Well, we've already got version 0.06. So in version 0.05, they've added in support network battle, fixed the cheat code saving bug, memory editor optimization, renderer optimization, and ad system settings. And these may or may not be accurate because I'm using Google Translate. So at the time of filming, beta version 0.06 is the latest update. And using Google Translate, they say add a simple home page which can scan the directory and automatically add it to the list according to the history, and fixed various minor bugs. Next up is more of just a friendly heads up and I guess a celebration. We're talking about Reddit emulation on Android. If you're on Reddit, if you like emulation on Android, then you may want to check out Reddit emulation on Android. This community is just celebrating hitting over 200,000 members. I would say the community itself is very interesting over on Reddit emulation on Android. There are quite a few humorous posts. Sometimes there is some breaking news. And also they showcase some stuff that is currently working. For example, this person's got ShadPS4 up and running with a Mali GPU. And well, you can kind of see how things are going. Next up, we're talking about Nintendo, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this one in the past when the lawsuit was filed. It appears the lawsuit has been decided and in Nintendo's favor. So Video Games Chronicle is reporting Nintendo has successfully blocked a French file storage site from hosting pirated games. So the website in question, and I might be mispronouncing this one, it's onefichier.com, and apparently it's owned by D-Storage. And it seems that D-Storage was ordered to pay €442,750, as well as €27,000 to cover legal expenses. If you are interested in this one and wanted even more clarity and information, I recommend giving the article an entire read-through because it's very clear there's quite a bit of information there. And here is part of a quote. The French Supreme Court leaves no doubt that share hosting providers like onefichier.com are not a safe haven for storing and sharing illegal content. Now, it's worth noting that this was in France, but I'm assuming that Nintendo will probably take this win and use it to go after other file sharing sites in the future. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on, and we're talking about PlayStation again, and this is more of just a friendly heads up. If you've got a PS Plus account, you may want to check out when you need to renew. It seems that PlayStation is automatically adding 5 days to everyone's subscription thanks to the outage that happened previously. While I would say this is generally a good thing, at the same time here, some people are upset. They were hoping for 7 days instead of 5, with the reason being that 7 days would guarantee they'd get a weekend again out of the PS Plus membership. PSN was down over a weekend, and adding 5 days to someone's membership might not necessarily get them the weekend that was taken away. Let me know your thoughts about that one. Next up is another friendly heads up. We're talking about Final Fantasy 16, and if my eyes are not deceiving me, it appears that Denuvo has been removed from this game. Now, Final Fantasy 16 was released back in September of 2024, so it only took a few months for Square Enix to remove Denuvo. This game has a mostly positive review score overall. However, if I take a look here at the Final Fantasy 16 Complete Edition, it does still say Denuvo. So I'm wondering if Steam just hasn't gone around to updating this just yet either. Well, I'll have to wait and see on that one. Pay attention to it. But it does seem that Square Enix is taking Denuvo off of Final Fantasy 16. Next up is another friendly heads up. I've got a lot of these today. If you're a fan of Toy Story 2 or 102 Dalmatians on the Sega Dreamcast, you might be excited about this. Brand new cheat codes have been discovered after about 25 years. These games came out around 2000, and someone has found some cheat codes, some pretty impressive cheat codes. So there's cheat codes here for Unlock Everything, both for Toy Story 2 and 102 Dalmatians, and there's also a hidden developer test menu. And the hidden developer test menu is, well, it's pretty interesting. It's Noah's Ark. And continuing to talk about friendly heads ups, next up here we're talking about the Steam Visual Novel Fest. If you're a fan of visual novels, you might be excited about this one. If you're not, well, is it a book? Is it a game? Yes, it's visual novels, and the fest is packed with discounts on them. Now, I'm not a visual novel person myself, but a lot of people seem to be really into the genre, and taking a look at the discounts here, and there are some pretty steep ones. So if you're into visual novels, this may be something worth checking out. It goes from now until March 10th. Next up here, if you're running Windows 10 and you're looking at the brand new AMD graphics cards, you may want to pay attention because it seems that AMD is making Windows 11 an official requirement to use those new GPUs. Unless you're on Linux, and then it's a non-issue. So they say here, this means such unsupported devices running Windows 11 without UEFI and Secure Boot will not work optimally with the Radeon 9000 series graphics cards. And that, I would say, is a very big point. Now, based on my understanding here, it seems that these 9000 series cards may work with Windows 10, but you may just be throwing money away because you wouldn't be getting the full performance out of them. On top of that, it's also concerning to me if you do have Windows 11, but maybe you don't have Secure Boot enabled for various reasons, maybe because you dual boot. But we'll have to wait and see here to figure out what all of this means moving forward with those 9000 series cards and how temperamental all of this stuff is. This is not a good sign though, and I think this will push some people towards Linux instead of upgrading to Windows 11. I could be wrong about that. Moving on, and we're talking about Pokemon cards, but I guess not. We're talking about Cheetozards. And it turns out a Charizard-shaped Cheeto sold for about $87,000. The winning bid on this was $72,000 with a 22% charge. Now, I've got no idea why someone would want to spend around $87,000 for a Cheeto, a stale Cheeto at that. I mean, yeah, it kind of looks like Charizard, but at the same time, $87,000. I hope whoever bought this doesn't have a dog who accidentally eats it. I mean, that's an $87,000 mistake right there. We'll have to wait and see on this one to see if we hear about this moving forward and if they try to sell it again, or if the Cheeto degrades in time and becomes unrecognizable or gets moldy or something. I don't know here. It's just really weird. Some people have suggested something like money laundering is going on. I don't know about that, but I mean, let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up here, we're talking about some homebrew games for the Game Boy Advance. Now, we talked about GBA Winter Jam 2025 beforehand. Well, Winter Jam 2025 has ended and the games are available to check out. If you are curious about this one, if you're a fan of Game Boy Advance, if you're a fan of homebrew stuff, there are 9 games here to check out, and some of them look pretty fun. I mean, some of the games here include an endless runner, no internet. There's a card game called Galacard, and if you're a fan of Trogdor, there's also a Trogdor game. And speaking about homebrew stuff, next up we're talking about the Sega Dreamcast homebrew scene with HarleQuest. This game just got a brand new update. It's 100% free and open source. So at the time of filming, HarleQuest Demo 4 is the latest and greatest version here. It is just a demo, the game is not complete, and it features the first floor of the dungeon with a boss fight. And it does have 60 FPS performance on the Dreamcast, which I find pretty impressive. Next up, we're talking about Doom, and we've been talking about Doom quite a bit lately, with Doom running in crazy ways. Well, here is another crazy way, Doom running on sound. Kind of. Anyways, here this person was able to transfer Doom from one PC to another via sound. And it is a grayscale version of Doom. This is incredible. So the developer of this one says they took each frame of Doom and converted it to grayscale and got the value of each pixel. Those values were converted into frequencies on a .wav file using an audio channel. And then they had another computer decode the files into the final Doom gameplay. They had to speed it up because the gameplay was about 1 frame per second. Either way here, I think this is really incredible. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And last up here, we're talking about the Retroid Pocket Mini. If you've got a Retroid Pocket Mini and you've been having issues with screen scaling when trying to use something like the CRT filter, this may be worth noting. So the Retroid team has taken a look at the issue. They've investigated and determined that the issue cannot be fixed via something like an OTA software update. They say it can't be fixed, it's the behavior of the screen. So unfortunately, it doesn't seem that this will be fixed on the existing Retroid Pocket Flip and will be a persistent issue. If it doesn't bother you and you don't use something like a CRT filter on it, it's not a big deal. But if you do and you're having scaling issues, well, here is the answer. And they do say it's tied to the screen driver chip. Fortunately, here from my understanding, it does seem that they will be honoring some refunds. You may be eligible for a refund, you may not be. You may just need to contact Retroid and see if you are, if you wanted to return yours. This is super unfortunate, but at least Retroid is looking into it, and sometimes these things happen. Fortunately, there are some other options from Retroid. I mean, the Retroid Pocket 5 is just a few more bucks. It's not that much more expensive. Or the upcoming Retroid Flip is something to look into. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state, and I'll see you tomorrow.